Coming up on the Morning Journal, we speak with our Woman of the Week, Alana, co-founder of Women in Media. Kate talks about Avengers Infinity War and the upcoming miniseries, Picnic at Hanging Rock. The girls head over to the annual Dog Lovers show. Tanique and Sarah check out the mysterious penguins that may or may not live in the St Kilda Pier. And we have another instalment of Ask Jas. We have a great show for you, so stay tuned for an exciting hour.
Hello and welcome to the Morning Journal. I'm Jasmine.
And I'm Rachel. And before we begin the show, we'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of this land, the Wurundjeri people, and pay our respects to elders both past and present. We also extend our acknowledgement to elders from other communities who may be watching us today.
We've got a lot coming up this week, so you can tweet us or go on Instagram at The Morning Journal, or you can watch us live in the Agora or at upstart.net.au if you'd like to keep track of what we're up to today.
Yeah, I'm really excited for today's show, but for now, let's go to Sarah with the headlines.
Thanks for that, Rachel. Scott Morrison has defended the coalition's plan to cut income taxes in the Tuesday's budget, conceding tax cut won't be a mammoth, but will provide real relief for Australians who have not had a pay rise. Scott Morrison on Sunday, the Treasurer told Channel 9's Today Show that the Turnbull government had flagged for months that its priority is delivering tax relief for low to middle income earners. The federal budget is expected to show a dramatic improvement in revenues, with Deloitte Access Economics estimating that the company tax take has risen by $36.2 billion since this time last year, and income tax is $10.6 billion higher. Improved revenues have allowed the coalition to ditch the planned $8 billion Medicare levy increase and promise income tax cuts, but it is still unclear whether it will also bring forward the plan to return surplus by 2020 to 2021. The Treasurer said if the scale of income tax cuts were criticised, it would be very hard to say that the government is irresponsible at the same time. 4 women were killed in a crash on their way home from an afternoon of line dancing in Western Victoria in a horror 24 hours during which 8 people lost their lives on the state's roads. Police say 2 of the 4 friends were killed when their car was T-boned on an isolated Victorian road. They held hands as they died from internal injuries. Their car was involved in a collision with another car at an intersection just south of the service station. Within 9 hours, 2 more people had died in separate incidents on country roads. The crashes took the Victorian toll for 78 for 2018. In world news, Donald Trump is revealed the US president hired an Israeli private intelligence agency to orchestrate a dirty ops campaign against key individuals from the Obama administration who helped negotiate their Iran nuclear deal. The extraordinary revelations come days before Trump's 12th of May deadline to either scrap or continue to abide by the international deal limiting Iran's nuclear program. Sources said that the officials linked to Trump's team contacted investigators days after Trump visited Tel Aviv a year ago, his first foreign tour as US president. Although sources have confirmed that contact and an initial plan of attack was provided to private investigators by representatives of Trump, it is not clear how much work was actually undertaken, for how long, or what became of any material unearthed. Police in Israel have stated patrols and security sweep of a southern Jerusalem neighbourhood, anxiously preparing for a US embassy interrogation that Israelis and Palestinians fear may launch a week of violence. On the weekend ahead of the embassy opening, thousands of Israelis are expected to mark what they say is the city's reunification in a Jerusalem Day rally. Often made up of religious settlers, these marches pass through Muslim district of the Old City, and in previous years, groups have chanted anti-Arab insults. The US Embassy move will proceed by the 12th of May deadline for Trump to decide whether to walk away from the 2015 Iran nuclear agreement and reinstate sanctions on Tehran. And finally, researchers at Harvard University reveal 5 healthy habits to a longer human lifespan. The data was revealed through lifestyle questionnaires and medical records from 123,000 volunteers to understand how much longer people lived if they followed a healthy diet, controlled their weight, took regular exercise, drank in moderation, and did not smoke. The researchers performed the analysis in the hope of understanding why the US, which spends more on healthcare share as a proportion of GDP than any other nation, ranked 31st in the world for life expectancy at birth.
That Scarlett. Sorry, Sarah. I'm so used to Scarlett being in the chair. It's like second nature to say her name.
That's all right. I've got some big shoes to fill over here in this chair.
Well, she is with us now to talk about the tampon tax. It's been something that I've been following in the news about Labor claiming to axe the tampon tax, which I think would be quite good for us ladies.
100%.
You know, those feminine hygiene products would be a bit cheaper for us. Obviously, there's offset from this, but they are planning to direct the offset towards natural remedies. I think 6 natural remedies. But that's their plan. So what do you guys think about it?
I hope it comes through, honestly. I think women's hygiene products are not a luxury. They're a necessity. They're a need. We should not have to pay this extra money for them because it's not something we choose. It's something that happens to us naturally. And I think it comes down to, I think the reason we do have a tax on these things, I'm not too sure, but I have a feeling it's got to do with the stigma around women's bodies and periods in general. I think it's...
I think that people don't like talking about it very
100%.
often, even though, women bleed for a week every month and it's a very natural thing, and we don't choose to do it, so therefore it's not a luxury item because it's not a choice. But I think because it's quite a taboo topic, people don't really like to think about it very much. It hasn't been in the spectrum before as a necessity, but rather a taxable product. And it does make loads of money on tax because obviously so many women in Australia, like half of Australia, and then maybe 2/3 of that would be using, 2/3 of the women population in Australia would be using tampons or, pads even. So if you can imagine the sort of money they're making off it as well, it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, so, sorry, the opposition spokesperson for Health, Catherine King, said that tampons were a basic necessity for women, and I agree, but she said that they cost women over $300 million each year. 30 million is GST, and so 30 million is a significant amount of money. Yeah. But again, I feel as if this is a basic necessity. I feel like it's almost like taxing toilet paper, you know?
Yeah.
Like
I get that.
That's what I sort of relate it to. But yeah, Sarah, what do you think?
Honestly, I'm going to have to go against you ladies about the tax debate just because I find that there are things in this world that everybody needs that have tax. So what does pads and tampons, why should that be different? We need water, we need petrol, there are all these things, we need food, we need everything to survive in our everyday lives, and these things are taxed. So just because the tampons are also taxed, I think, and don't get me wrong, I wish they weren't, and I wish all this stuff wasn't taxed, but if it wasn't, we wouldn't have facilities to keep moving forward. So that's my outtake on it.
Yeah, I think that the thing about the GST though is it's a goods and services tax, so it's meant to be specifically for the government to make profit or something that you don't necessarily need. It's goods and services, but because we have quite a advanced, in in respect to the rest of the world, medical and health system in Australia, we really push for it being fair for everybody and cheap, or if possible free healthcare and basic necessities like tampons as well. Like the government shouldn't be making bank on the fact that we bleed for a month every month. Sorry.
Imagine if it was every year. Ooh.
Yeah,
Great.
But I was here to tell you about menstrual cups. I don't know if you've heard about them, but it's way cheaper. You do get taxed on this item, but it's way cheaper than buying tampons every year. You save loads of money, and they're basically just like a silicone cup that you wear, and they're also measurably better for the environment because they don't produce any waste. They're a silicone cup which you use sort of in place of a tampon. Have you guys heard about these?
I have heard about them. I didn't know that they were taxed. I didn't really know a whole lot about how much they cost. And I really just know that, they're worn and they last longer during the day.
So they last up to 10 years. So something that I had read on the way in this morning, I heard it actually, coincidentally, they were talking about it on the radio. And there were, $400 odd, I think, per year, or no, $900 per 10 years versus a silicone cup that costs $52 for 10 years, if it lasts 10 years, so it will last up to 10 years. And also, if you think of the amount of waste that is created from tampons, it's just incredible, and there's nothing we can do with those. So they're not recyclable. They just go into landfill, and we already have such a huge problem in Australia with what we're going to do with our waste. So this menstrual cup, I think, is a really great way to totally segue those terrible environmental problems as well as stuff like toxic shock.
Yeah.
Your body, making yourself sick from using tampons.
Which is, I don't think a lot of women know about toxic shock
And so
syndrome.
silicone, there's no risk of getting TSS with.
No, see,
the
I've
Diva
looked it up, and there's a few sort of horror stories online where it looks like the Diva cup has melted in someone's body. But aside from some of those like really starkly terrible reviews, it's hugely popular, and the reviews have been amazing. Like they put a list of women from various ages on the same menstrual cup who have been using tampons and pads for their whole lives, and 91% of them said that they would continue to use the menstrual cup as opposed to tampons and pads because it's just so much better.
Oh, no, sorry. You go.
I just love that it's better for the environment as well, that we're not, continually putting all of this waste out there, and that this is a really good alternative for the ladies who just, want to save money for one and also want to help the environment.
Well, maybe too, if they taxed tampons, they could put that money toward better recycling or better waste solutions because of the amount of waste that is created through it. And I think that people really need to put that at the forefront of their mind as well, how much we consume and how much we put out there. And if there's options that help us to reduce that kind of waste, I think we should really be active and discerning customers and actually make it happen.
I was also thinking like homeless women as well. I feel like that would help them out so much. I actually watched like a story that I can't remember who did it, but it was in America. They went to New York and there were some homeless women about what they do when they're on their period. And some women are having to make tampons from the inside of the pad. Some women just sit on a towel all day and don't move until they're able to change the towel and get something else. I've read some women have to wash themselves in like the public toilets, in like the sinks, grab some water with a water bottle and wash themselves in the toilet. I feel like this would be so much easier for them. It would last longer. Oh, it'd just be so much easier.
Yeah.
I think we have to think about them.
It seems like a lot of money. And also, obviously, I'm preaching because I'm converted. I bought one about 4 months ago, and it's the best.
I remember you talking about it.
It's so much better. And like you don't, like I played sport all day, and then like it was just incredible. So yeah, I am totally the converter, but it seems like a large chunk of money initially. But if you're looking at how much money you will spend in the next even 5 years on tampons, and how annoying it is when you don't have any and you have to go to the shop and buy some, and you forgot your wallet. I don't know. There's like so many.
Yeah, especially if the tax is still in place. There's sort of a lot of money spent on those hygiene products. And as well, you were talking about the US, and over there it's hugely expensive. So I can just imagine how horrific it is for homeless women. And so it is good that someone has invented this alternative. So for those listening, if you do want to just check it out.
Luna cups, Diva cups, Lunettes. There's all these different brands, but they all pretty much do the same thing.
Yeah.
Google it, have a look.
Yeah, they're hugely successful now as well. Like I've been seeing them a lot on social media, and we can tweet about them as well at The Morning Journ for those that want to check it out. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Really good. So, yeah, thank you for joining us.
No worries, thank you.
Both of you. It's been so good to talk about this. But it is now coming to one of my favourite parts of the show.
Yes, Entertainment Talk with Kate is coming up, and she's got some good things to chat about, including the new Avengers movie, Infinity War, which I have seen and can't wait to talk about.
And the new Picnic at Hanging Rock as well that is coming to
exciting.
Foxtel. Let's take a look.
Hello and welcome back to Entertainment Talk. This week I saw a little indie film you probably haven't heard of, Avengers Infinity War. Okay, so obviously this is a huge movie, years in the making, and made $640 million in its first weekend. And there's a lot of expectation that this is going to be an amazing, out-of-this-world film. But before I talk about my reaction to Avengers Infinity War, I want to talk a little bit about how I was feeling going into it. Marvel has single-handedly turned superhero films into the it genre since it came out with Iron Man in 2008. That's over 10 years we've been oversaturated with these films, and superhero fatigue is real. I'm almost at a point where I'm sick of seeing superhero films. On the other hand though, I really like that Marvel gives smaller filmmakers a big break with their films. The directors of this movie, the Russo brothers, actually got their start writing for shows like Arrested Development and Community, and now they're making this giant movie that's making multiple millions of dollars. And even last year with Thor Ragnarok, which was directed by Taika Waititi, who has been making great films like What We Do in the Shadows and Hunt for the Wilder People in recent years, and is now getting such a bigger platform and more appreciated for their great work. But onto what I thought of Avengers Infinity War. I'll start with what I liked. There are a lot of people in this movie. There are 24 people alone on the poster. Obviously they've been developing these characters over several films, and that really works in this movie's favour because they're already well-developed characters that are fully formed and we understand as an audience. And the premise of the character interactions definitely made me want to go see the film.
I'm Peter, by the way.
Doctor Strange.
Oh, you're using your made-up names. Then I am Spider-Man.
I don't think I can really spoil too much about the story because I definitely don't want to ruin it for anyone. But I really like that they split all the characters off into 3 groups to address different parts of the story, which may have helped to keep the story more concise. But in terms of individual performances, I thought Chris Hemsworth was great as Thor. I think he's really come into his own since Thor Ragnarok came out last year. Gamora really adds emotional weight to the film as she is the daughter of the main villain. And Tom Holland as Spider-Man, I think, really adds to the group because he is so much younger, and his chemistry with Tony Stark as a sort of father figure really is one of my favourite parts of the movie. In terms of action, you do get swept up in what is at stake. Also, I think there's a perception of these films as a sort of boys club, and I really appreciated in this movie that they had so many powerful and strong women in it, especially here at the Morning Journal. That can be appreciated. Characters, you know, like Black Widow, Scarlet Witch, Okoye, Gamora, Nebula, you know, these are great characters that little girls watching this film can see and feel like they belong, and they're allowed to like superhero movies. I don't know, I just really like that about this movie. But yeah, I'll move on to what I didn't like. To start off with, this movie is 2.5 hours long. I think that is too long for a movie like this. I was halfway through watching it and I think I realized this is less of a movie and more just an event. Mind you though, it is only half an event as there is a part 2 coming to this. So all up, it's going to be a 5-hour movie. I understand why the movie is this long. You know, it's obviously hard when you've got 24 characters, you all need to give an arc. I also felt that there was definite trouble in balancing all the characters. Specifically, I really didn't think we got enough of the Black Panther storyline, especially since that setting becomes important towards the end of the film. I just think there's too many characters and it's almost impossible for them to really give each character enough screen time and do them justice. Also, while I was watching the movie, I had a sudden realization that there are 3 white men in this movie with facial hair, and they're all named Chris. They're all great, but how did this happen? Don't get me wrong, I did like this movie. It's just, it does have its problems. But yeah, I don't even think I really need to recommend this movie. If you want to see it, you're definitely gonna see it. But overall, I think I'd just leave it on saying that this is definitely more just a cinematic event than it is a movie. And if you want to see it, it is still in the cinemas, so go check it out. In TV this week, the new miniseries Picnic at Hanging Rock has finally hit Foxtel. The show, similar to the book and the film of the same name, tells the story of 3 girls and one of their teachers who go missing at Hanging Rock on Valentine's Day in the year 1900. Picnic at Hanging Rock has always been such an amazing story since its book was released in 1967, and I'm always really happy to see Australian content on TV and in theatres. And just looking from the trailer, you can really tell that this miniseries is just beautifully shot. The show stars Natalie Dormer, who you may recognise from Game of Thrones, as the headmistress of the school, as well as Samara Weaving, Lily Sullivan and Madeline Madden. Picnic at Hanging Rock has had a few iterations, so I'm definitely interested to see how the miniseries will revamp the story, and especially since they're stretching the narrative over 6 episodes. Episode 1 is available now. You can watch the show on the Showcase channel on Foxtel. This story is a great mystery and a great way to really support Australian-made content, so I definitely recommend not missing this one.
Missing. Presumed dead.
Finally, this week's retro review was inspired by the Avengers' rather large cast. So this week I'll be talking about It's a Mad, 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 Mad World. The film is from 1963 and follows a group of strangers who are brought together when a dying thief tells them where they can find a hidden fortune.
There's only one way to figure it, and that is every man for himself.
After the group fails to work together, they split up and make a mad dash for the treasure, as more and more people seem to join the race. This movie might as well be the definition of hilarity ensues because it's a slapstick masterpiece and every situation they get into is more crazy and ridiculous than the last. The film stars Spencer Tracy, Milton Berle, Ethel Merman, Mickey Rooney, Buddy Hackett, Phil Silvers, Sid Caesar, Terry Thomas, Jonathan Winters, Edie Adams and Dorothy Proven. Now that's a lot of people, but really they're all kind of great in the movie, and unlike Avengers, I think this film had a better understanding of how to coordinate all the multiple storylines. And it's not even just the main characters that have prominent actors in the roles. This movie is chock full of cameos from comedy legends, from the Three Stooges to Buster Keaton. The film's director, Stanley Kramer, was actually contacting every comedic performer he could think of to be in the film. And there's so much slapstick and comedy in this film, so much so that the actors in the film were actually given 2 scripts, one for their dialogue and one for all the physical comedy stunts. Now I know I complained with the Avengers that it was too long, but this film is actually no different. One cut of the film is actually 3 hours and 30 minutes, complete with overture and intermission. But the film is also on Stan, and that is only 2.5 hours long. I definitely recommend checking it out. It is just so funny, and you'd be missing out if you skipped it. Wow, much like the movies I've been talking about today, this installment of Entertainment Talk has been pretty long. So that's all for this week. See you next time.
Oh, Kate blows my mind every week. Every week. I actually saw Infinity War 2 weeks ago and I left the theatre shook, and I did cry 3 times. I'm not going to mention what times they were in case someone hasn't watched it, but yeah.
Yeah, it's really hard to talk about Infinity War at the moment because everyone's so scared about it being spoiled. So I'm going to try and avoid the plot altogether and just not talk about the movie, but I did see it in gold class. I splurged for it. I went and saw it with my best friend for her 21st, which was really, really good.
Oh, that's cute. Yeah. I went with my dad.
Yeah.
So, and he liked it.
Yeah. It's just... It's not a comedy movie, I'm going to say. It's funny. It's funny. Trying not to talk about the movie because I don't want to spoil it. But it is quite long and emotionally draining. And so coming out of that for a 21st thing was interesting.
Yeah. I will say, though, I think the best thing about the movie was just seeing all those characters just come together and interact with one another.
For sure.
And, yeah, I love Chris Hemsworth and I love Chris Pratt. And just seeing them together was like... It was wow. It was like heart eye emojis the whole time.
I think opening up the Marvel universe was really amazing for this movie because, obviously each character gets screen time and it's hard to jam pack all of those characters in there, but it's so good to see them. Yeah. As a bit of a fan, it's good to see them on screen. And I do kind of prefer Marvel over DC. Sorry, not sorry, but I do love Wonder Woman. That's my DC exception.
Amazing. I did cry in that movie too when all the what are they, Themyscirians? No, the Amazons all came together and they're on their horses. I was like, powerful women everywhere. And speaking of powerful women, we do have Alana Schetzer here, who is the co-founder of Women in Media. And we do know that you actually had a tweet about Infinity War. Do you want to tell us about that little tweet?
Sure. I love Marvel. I love Infinity War. I have felt things during that film for sure. But I think when you love something, you should be willing to criticize it in order to make it better. And I was just thinking, this was Marvel's, I think, 19th film. They've had 18 films in 10 years. And this was the lead up to all those films together. And we still haven't had a Marvel film of the 18 films without a woman lead. And in this film, which is obviously jam-packed with characters, and there are, a number of really fantastic women characters, which is great, but they're still absolutely getting outnumbered by men, and not only the men, but also the aliens, and there's something just really sad about that.
That's so true. That's very true. I think they are doing Captain Marvel's supposed to be coming in at some point.
Yeah,
which is
Captain Marvel, she will be a main lead, and she looks gorgeous.
Yeah.
I can't wait for the next part of Infinity War, because hopefully they do have a lot of screen time for her and it's not just a hidden role. I think that would be really upsetting because a lot of people are very psyched to see a female lead in Marvel.
Which
will
I
be
think is
good.
what DC did good with Wonder Woman. But, you know.
And it was very popular as well.
Yeah.
Very, very successful movie.
It
So,
did
you
so
know,
well.
they've got to take note that having female leads in their movies is a really good thing.
Well, she got a game on Facebook, on Messenger. They had a Wonder Woman game, and I did play that a fair bit. But we're here to talk about you.
Yeah, we're
and
here to talk
women
about women in media
Yes.
as the company movement as well. So can you tell us a bit about women in media?
Sure. So Women in Media actually started off in Perth more than 10 years ago. And I've been involved in the media industry as an activist and a union delegate for a number of years. And I stumbled across it. I thought it was just a fantastic idea and something that we could benefit over here on the East Coast. So I contacted them. And then slowly the union got involved and it just kind of rolled into being. So Women in Media is now established in almost all Australian major cities and some regional towns. And what it is, it has three purposes. So one is to facilitate networking. So in the media industry, it is unfortunately very much an industry in who you know and who likes you. So if it's facilitating those opportunities for women is really important. Mentoring, we have a structured mentoring program for young women in the industry. Mentoring is a fantastic thing. I recommend that everybody do it, no matter what stage in your career you are. And we're also involved in industrial action. So on issues such as the gender pay gap, the media has a higher than average gender pay gap compared to other industries. It's something around the 22% mark. Issues, of course, such as workplace discrimination, harassment, and assault, which is obviously a very big issue at the moment and is very much overdue to have been spoken about. So we're very much trying to create a level playing field for women. Women now make up the majority, just over 50% of all media workers, but the number of women in senior positions remains something like 20%, which is not wrong.
Yeah.
Right. And how, well, we're an all-female team. Our show here is an all-female team of media students. And do you have any advice for us for, you know, maybe joining women in media? How can we get involved? And as women in media, you know, are there any tips and tricks that we should know to break into the industry?
Good question. I don't think it's so much any tricks. I would recommend, of course, all women journalists and media students join Women in Media, come to our events, get involved in the discussion, know what's happening in the industry. I do recommend that you join your union, the MEAA, which is the umbrella group for women in media, and just be aware of what's going on. I think this crop, you know, your generation, are in a much better position because the fact that we're even having this conversation is quite significant. This has been an issue that's been pushed under for so long, and if you were to say something, you would be, you know, hit with a label of, you know, crazy or bitter or jealous or, you know, feminazi or whatever ridiculous label. So being aware, being involved, and knowing your worth, really. Women, you know, we are raised with a sense that we have to, you know, please and thank you and have to be grateful for everything and ask permission for everything, and certainly not advocating people be, you know, arrogant or not at all, but know your worth and don't put up with nonsense.
Have you had like any experience yourself where you felt like you were being discriminated against because of your gender, and has that like pushed you to put women in media like so high up as a priority for helping others?
Look, I think overall, in terms of being targeted because I'm a lady person, as I like to call it, I think, you know, I've been generally pretty lucky. You know, I've actually had a lot of female bosses, and And I think there has been an attitude with some that there's only a limited number of women allowed at the top. And I found some to be very, not only not supportive, but just deliberately just really difficult to work with. And I think, look, a couple of times when Black Saturday happened, I was already reporting in the area that it got hit by, which is King Lake, North Nillumbik, just on the outskirts of Melbourne. And I didn't get sent on the first media bus to go around. One of my male colleagues did. And look, I couldn't tell you if that was gender or not, but I remember feeling very, very annoyed about that. And I couldn't think of a logical reason
as to why he would have been put first. Yeah, no, I understand that. Can you tell us a bit about the events you do for women in media?
Yeah, absolutely. So we put on a range of events every year. Sometimes they're just general meet and greets, so giving women an opportunity to network, to meet each other, talk about potential projects and collaborations. We also do panel events about various issues, highlighting women in sport, discussing discrimination, pay gap. We do really practical hands-on workshops. So we recently had one that taught women how to handle online trolls and harassment and abuse, and basically went over a few of, this is a real issue. It has real life health consequences, mental and physical, and basically giving women some tips about how to best protect themselves. But ultimately, the best protection is people not doing this in the first point. It shouldn't be reactionary, but until we can change the laws, we do have to put those in place.
Okay. Oh,
And
no.
we have talked about social media a lot on the show and how sort of toxic it can be for anyone on it, because it just opens up for cyberbullying. But I do want to talk about your work, because you've reported on basically everything, every sort of topic that you could, crime, sports, business, lifestyle. Do you have a favourite?
Yes, I love social justice. That's something I'm concentrating on at the moment, particularly issues around race, gender, and disability. I think what I've had a huge education just by being a journalist. I've been exposed to so many different people and different ways of living and existing, and it's really opened my eyes to structural discrimination that we have in society. So if I can play a very small role in bringing an issue to people's eyes, to their awareness, get them thinking about something, then that's saying, it's a very small thing that I can do, but I feel very privileged to be able to do that. And reality TV recaps, so much fun.
Oh, yeah.
I can imagine, yeah. Is there any reality TV shows that you just love recapping?
Yeah, I used to recap The Bachelor and and MasterChef for the Age. And that, it's good to use the other side of your brain, and also just, I do believe in light and shade. If you're doing something that's heavy and serious, it's good to have
Something fun and light.
something a bit light. Yeah, it's all part of the balanced diet.
Oh, The Bachelor would have been so good.
The recaps are always really funny. The Bachelor in Paradise recaps were very fun. I didn't even watch the show. I would just
you just followed. Oh, amazing.
Yeah. So how can those watching get involved with women in media?
Come to our events. There's no joining fee to be a member. Just like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter. Come to our events, tell your colleagues and friends as well. You don't necessarily have to be in the media to get something out of what we're doing. And just be aware of what's going on and be part of the conversation. Ultimately, we need lots of voices. We need lots of diverse voices and experiences, and be willing to support yourself and support others when they may not be in a position to defend themselves.
And how does it feel to know that you're doing all this amazing work for women?
I don't really feel like I am. I just sort of feel like...
You're just doing it.
Yeah, I think what we need is, we've seen with the media for a long time, it's been very much a closed shop, a boys' club. And I think if we can open it up to more people that reflect society, we should have more women, we should have more people of colour, we should have people of all abilities and different backgrounds. And I think that makes the media better and more reflective. So I think that we all benefit.
Yeah. Well, thank you for joining us today. It's been amazing to have you
Thank
as
you.
our Woman of the Week.
It is. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
See Infinity War.
Yes, do it.
Absolutely. Before it's out of cinemas, it's a must watch. I love having our Woman of the Week every week and talking about women in media as well. So we're going to put all of the details in our Instagram and Twitter at The Morning Journ. So if you want to check them out, you can find them there. Please do get involved. I'm going to get involved myself.
The more we
I think,
talk about
I think
it,
it's amazing.
the more it'll help.
You can also check out Alana's website at www.alanaschetzer.com. And
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. And we're now going to have Sarah for the headlines.
Thanks for that, Rachel. In breaking news, Facebook's failure to compel Cambridge Analytica to delete all traces of data from its services, including any derivatives, enabled the company to retain predictive models derived from millions of social media profiles throughout the US presidential election, The Guardian can now reveal. Leaked emails reveal that when the Cambridge Analytica told Facebook almost a year before the election that it had deleted data harvested from tens of millions of Facebook users, it stopped short of agreeing to also erase derivatives of the data. Melbourne Victory has won its fourth A-League Grand Final. The visitors scored a controversial goal in the first half through Costa Barbarosis, which was held back by James Donashi, who appeared to be in an offside position. The video review system checked the goal, but it was allowed to stand, adding more controversy to the VAR, which has been a talking point throughout the season. And for the weekend ahead, make sure you have that umbrella packed in your bag, as we're in for a high of 21 degrees with a frequent showers and mild winds throughout. Thanks for that latest. That's the latest, girls.
Thank you for that, Sarah. Actually, Tanique has a quick, Tanique, our producer, our senior
Lovely
producer. Yeah, she has a quick message for us about Rabelais. So let's take a look at that.
Journal. My name's Tanique. I am the senior producer of this show and also the director of content for Rabelais magazine, which is La Trobe's very own student-run magazine. We hope you've loved Rabelais' first edition of the year and have really utilised the game section, which our editor Kristen Centinelli has done a really great job on. And I hope now you know that we have edition 2 out. So this is the life edition filled with life hacks and a whole bunch of tips and tricks to get you through the year, as well as some welfare updates, and also some gorgeous photography and poetry that everyone deserves to see. Get your hands on a copy of Rabelais, the Life Edition, from La Trobe's very own student union, and you'll find it all around all 6 of our campuses. If you'd like to get involved, please just send us an email or check us out online at rabelais.com.au. I hope you enjoyed this episode of The Morning Journal, and I'll see you guys on print.
Thanks for that, Tanique. Now we have your pop culture fix. I love some pop culture, something light, something fun. And we've got Alicia here to talk about the infamous Kanye West, who's been in a bit of trouble lately. Can you tell us, Alicia?
Thanks for having me, girls. Yes, Kanye West this week has been just a bit crazy, as per usual, though. He's been all over the media for, some might say, the wrong reasons. So first up, Kanye West was on TMZ this past week, and he said a comment about slavery that has been making people everywhere just reevaluate everything, like they're not sure about Kanye West anymore. So what he said was, when you hear about slavery for 400 years, that sounds like a choice. So this sparked a huge outrage. Even one of the TMZ staff fired back at him. So let's throw to that clip now and see what he said.
Have to deal with these threats to our lives. We have to deal with the marginalization that has come from the 400 years of slavery that you said for our people was a choice. Every day we have to walk into that truth while you choose to say things that, to be honest with you, dog, are nonsensical. You want to think freely? That's fine. I'll combat your free thought with my free thought because mine is grounded in a reality that I have been given and a reality that I'm going to change, but I'm not going to do it by pretending that the enemies are on the same team as me. And frankly, I'm disappointed, I'm appalled, and brother, I am unbelievably hurt by the fact that you have morphed into something, to me, that's not real.
So it seems like Kanye is just practicing the art of making some people angry, and I'm so glad that the producer fired back because it's just great to hear someone talk over Kanye instead of everyone just agreeing with him all the time. Also, speaking of nonsensical, he also released a new song called Lift Yourself. I'm sure you girls have heard it. It's so funny. I cannot deal with it. Yeah, no words.
You tweeted the quote or something, didn't you?
I put it on Instagram, and when I show people the clip, I just I don't say I don't explain it. I'm just like, this is Kanye West, and I just play it. Yeah.
It's the best and it's the worst at the same time. I can't explain it, not even one bit. Let's take a listen of that.
I don't even know what to say to that.
It gets me every time.
Every time I hear it,
what a banger.
Look,
what a banger.
I'm not really a fan of Kanye's, especially after what he said on TMZ, but it does, that song it makes me laugh a lot. I don't know why, it just, those lyrics just make me really happy.
I can just putting someone in a good mood, you know?
That's true.
Exactly. I can just imagine everyone in the studio being like, wow, this is amazing. Can't wait to put this out. So inspiring.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. I love gauging the reactions when people hear it.
It wouldn't be a Kanye song if it wasn't a bit, wacky, I guess.
Out there.
Yeah.
I know. We're coming into a new era of Kanye now, I think.
Yeah. Well, I seem to think that it might be a publicity stunt, all these sort of things he's saying, because I've noticed, and someone else has told me this as well, is that he always gets a little bit too controversial just before his album release. So people are hyped up about Kanye, talking about Kanye, and then bam, album, everyone buys it, everyone listens to it because he's in the news, he's in the media. So I have a feeling that's what it might be.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Jazz. I was also reading that people think that he has serious mental problems, but I'm not too sure about that one. But you never know. You never know with Kanye.
Yeah.
It's just...
Well, he's a bit of an odd creature.
He's Kanye.
Yeah. We are going to go to some odd creatures now. Apparently there are some penguins down at St Kilda, and a couple of the girls from the show went to check it out, so let's take a look.
Hey guys, we're here at St Kilda Pier to find out if the mysterious penguin rumours that have been going around social media are true or false. Hopefully we'll be able to go find some of the furry friends, so let's take a look.
The red light is at the opposite end of the light spectrum, so although the penguins are aware of it, it doesn't hurt their eyes. They're incredibly sensitive and they have much stronger vision than we do.
The safety of St Kilda's most popular furry friends, the fairy penguins, has been of great concern recently. We spoke with Earth Care volunteer Maggie, who has been taking care of the penguins for the last 4 years. She explains the problem she has witnessed regarding the penguin safety.
The biggest problem we have is with our international visitors who don't speak English and the use of flash photography.
Volunteers of Earthcare St Kilda reported an incident on their Facebook page on Good Friday, setting off a social media storm.
Now, because of social media, it's so well known and there's so many more people here that it's become quite a problem.
So Jeanette, did you see the penguins down at St Kilda Pier tonight?
I saw lots of penguins and they were just beautiful.
Whereabouts did you see them and what time?
Oh, we saw them probably about a half hour after the sun went down, so probably 7-ish. And you just walk down the pier and onto the sort of the rocks at the end of the pier, the breakwater, and there they are, and they're just lovely, and they're cheeping and quirking, and they were lovely.
We've seen lots of furry friends walking around out there, so we have come to the conclusion that it is true. You can find penguins waddling around at the St Kilda Pier. This has been Sarah for the Morning Journal.
They're so cute.
They are
I love
cute.
them. I was actually at St Kilda on Saturday and I had no idea that the penguins were down there.
Yeah, I've never heard of it, but I might have to check them out.
Yeah, and as well, it's as you saw a sign in the video, it's really important for people to follow the guidelines down there because I feel like young children and maybe tourists might not be so careful with those little guys because in St Kilda there's a lot of people there, and so it is quite dangerous to have those little animals near so many people.
Yeah, I did remember that Maggie did say that there have been instances where the penguins have actually been injured, or I think she said that one had actually been killed because of people not treating the environment there properly or the penguins properly or just being a little too harsh, which is really unfortunate because we never want animals to be injured or hurt, ever.
And, it's always great to see when rules and regulations are involved when it comes to our precious wildlife in Australia. So we definitely don't want those gorgeous creatures to get harmed. And speaking of animals, I went to the Dog Lovers show over the weekend, which I'm super excited about. It was a dream. Let's take a look. Hello Future Me, we are here at the Dog Lovers show and we're going to go inside and take a look. The Dog Lovers show runs from Friday the 4th to Sunday the 6th of May at the Royal Exhibition Building in Melbourne. It's described as the world's greatest festival for dog lovers. There are lots of things to see at the Dog Lovers show this year. This year they have the Royal Canine Arena, the Pet Circle stage, sheepdog trials, Black Hawk dogs, Ask a Breeder stage, and the dog adoption stage. We also visited the Instapooch stage where we saw Missy and Max, Oscar's Law, Sumo and Cocoa Pops, and Little Bear.
It's like the little ones you see upstairs, so come.
Taking a dog in entry, and then a dog in entry right here, so down the front. Do you get that joke? Yeah. It was Paul fixed that joke, wasn't it? I'm having a real dog of the day actually, but anyway, we'll get there.
We also visited the dog adoption zone where we became very familiar with sausage dogs.
Your puppy, get all the kids. Do you think I, as a 40-year-old man, can stand out?
Jason Humphreys, founder and CEO of the Dog Lovers show, says our dogs are family and no words could ever portray just how much joy and love they bring to our lives. Some major sponsors from the Dog Lovers show are the Royal Canine, Pet Circle and Black Hawk. You can find all of the details about the Dog Lovers show at doglovershow.com.au. It was so much fun.
Oh my God, I'm so jealous.
I loved it.
I'm so jealous.
There were a lot of freebies as well, so my dogs were really excited about it when I came home.
Oh, how cute. What dogs do you have? Tell us.
Well, I'm babysitting one at the moment that's a Pomeranian, but my dog is a Maltese Shih Tzu Cross Cavalier and she's just like insane. But yeah.
Yeah, I've got a Maltese Cross Shih Tzu in there.
There's something about
full
that
on,
breed.
aren't they? They're just full on.
Something about the breed. They're crazy. But yeah, it was so much fun. They had breeders, they had rescue shelters there, and then the whole bottom floor was sort of companies and different brands selling products or giving away freebies. So it was really good for my dogs because they were rapt about it. But yeah.
Oh, so cute.
Lots of food for them, actually.
Speaking of food, so all their animals are one of my favourite things. My other favourite thing is all types of wild cooking. All day, every day, all the time. So I've got the beautiful Sarah Jane.
Hello.
And Jenna.
Hello, hello.
To talk about our favourite wog meals because everyone loves Nonna's cooking. Who doesn't love
Nonna's cooking's the best cooking. It honestly, it just warms you like right down to the core.
From the
into
inside
your
out.
soul.
That's
Your
it.
soul. It's amazing.
And we did have some tweets at the Morning Journal that some people have put in of their favourite wok dishes. That the first one we have comes from at Jasmine, love the name, and their tweet is, "I love pasta. Pasta is a classic. Hashtag wok food love." What's your favourite type of like wok pasta, guys?
Oh God, that is a tough one.
So I love a good lasagna on Christmas.
100%. Yeah.
Or it's Christmas and Easter specialty at Nonna's house. I love gnocchi. Gnocchi's my favourite.
Yeah, that would have to be my favourite too.
Yeah.
If I had to choose one, it would be a nice homemade gnocchi. I don't think anything beats it.
You know what's good about
like when
gnocchi?
my nonna's like, I just know when she's making gnocchi because I can smell like when I walk into her house. Like you never walk through the front door. You always walk through the garage, and there's always a kitchen in the garage.
There has to be a second. It's not a wok house if there's no second kitchen in the garage.
Yeah, there's always a kitchen in the garage, and you can just smell the fresh sauce. And then they make the gnocchi, like they make it fresh, and it's all potatoes, and it's just yum. And I just want to have some now.
You know what's good about gnocchi is like, although pasta fills you up, gnocchi really fills you up. So you can have like a small, if you're at a date, right?
Yeah.
And you want to eat something small and not look like a pig, you get some gnocchi because they give you a small serving and it fills you up.
I just look like a pig.
And
I
it's not
get
messy.
lasagna and I just I inhale. Like I love lasagna. Like I will have so many servings
I
of
end up
that
with like
in
a
one
stain
go.
of like red around my mouth after eating
Well,
lasagna.
gnocchi's a good date food because
Yeah,
it
it
doesn't
is.
get messy.
Exactly.
So
right.
Yeah, that's true. Anything that you kind of eat with a fork, but I don't think about it. Like I just get a burger and then I regret it when it's like hanging out. But yeah, Italian food.
Oh, they have
and
to love you
any
for
sort of
Yeah,
you.
pasta's great.
Best
I don't know
food.
about you, but I swear my mum has every type of pasta you can think of, she has a recipe for.
Yeah.
Like pasta with peas, pasta with tuna and
Pasta
chili.
with
Nothing you
capsicum.
can't put in pasta.
There is
Yeah.
nothing you can't put with pasta. Like it's just ridiculous.
Last night I had pasta in my soup.
Yeah.
Yeah. It
Speaking
was good.
of soup, I know that Jenna's been really sick.
Oh, I've been so crook. But thank God for my mum and her amazing cooking because she's just been making me soup for every meal. But every type of soup, of course, because it's not just,
It's not one type of soup.
No, chicken soup, minestrone, so with all your vegetables, lamb soup. Oh, it's just been. That's
Lamb
actually,
soup?
yeah.
I've never had lamb soup.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
she
right.
puts like the lamb and the parsley. It's beautiful.
Yum.
Slow cooks it.
Yum.
It's the only good thing about being sick, I think.
Well,
it's good food.
Well, speaking of mum's cooking, which is just, warming the heart, Mother's Day is coming up.
It is coming up.
It is coming up.
They deserve a nice treat, our mothers.
They do.
Maybe we should cook for them, but
And
Maybe.
well, on the show in celebration of Mother's Day, we are going to have a special giveaway next Monday. So we're going to have 6 delicious cupcakes up for grabs. If anyone watching would like to have 6 of these amazing cupcakes to give to your mum, or share with your mum, or eat what's in the box and then give the box and apologise about it.
To your mum.
But
Poor
it's the
mums.
thought that counts.
Exactly.
You have to tweet to us at The Morning Journ and finish the sentence, "My mum is sweeter than cupcakes because."
Oh, I can think of a good answer for that one. Maybe
what
I'll
will
win
be
one.
yours, Jazz?
Well, the other day, so I'm supposed to be making my bed, and I do, but like I'm supposed to change my sheets every week. And I didn't change my sheets this week because I ran out of time for work. And because I start work at 6 and I usually finish at around midnight, I came home at 12:30 and I was just like, I'm going to have to make it and put my sheets on my bed at 12:30 at night. And then I came upstairs and she'd done it for me. The gems.
Sweet.
Well, those cupcakes are going to be the perfect little gift. So,
Yeah. And I
so
think,
tweet us.
I'm not too sure if we're giving the winner, letting them know this show, or it'd probably be next week's show.
Next
so
show.
stay tuned for next week.
Yep.
And yeah.
Yeah. So, we're going to talk about our relationships now. It's a good little segment.
It's
We've
Ask
got
Jas
our
time.
weekly Ask Jas, and you girls will be
You
giving
guys
your
can help out.
giving your little 2
Okay.
cents,
Give us some
helping
advice.
us with these tweets. Hey.
It's going to get fiery with SJ in here. But we'll see how we go.
The real tea is coming. SJ's going to be brutally honest, guys. I'm really sorry.
I'm so sorry.
But this first one comes in from Tati V14. Can long distance relationships ever work? I think they can, but it comes down to a lot of things. So timing has to be right. I don't think long distance works if you're not willing for this to be like a long-term thing. Otherwise, like, what's the point? I also think eventually one of you is going to have to move. I don't think you can, eventually you're going to have to move. One of you is going to have to move. So one of you needs to move. If if one of you is not going to move,
you have to be prepared to.
Yeah, you have to be prepared to leave your life for this person. And if that's not something you or your partner are going to do, like, not worth it either. And there needs to be an end goal. You have to say, okay, I definitely want a future with this person, then it'll work. If you're like, oh, I don't know if like I can see myself with this person for the rest of my life, probably not worth it either. And communication. You need to talk all the time, 24/7.
Yeah.
What do you guys reckon? Long distance?
What do you
Yeah,
think,
nay?
Jenna?
I agree.
Look, yeah, I completely agree with what you've said. I don't think I could do it, honestly.
Oh, I couldn't.
I'm too
clingy.
Yeah, you could say clingy maybe.
I'm too clingy. I couldn't do it.
Yeah, it's very tough, and I've seen my brother's gone through. Just came out of a long distance relationship, and by long distance I mean she was a state away. She was in Queensland, so wasn't that long distance. And yeah, I saw the struggles of that. It's pretty hard.
I think if it's for a short period of time, it's fine, but it needs to have an end date. You need to have an end date, because what's the point of having a relationship with someone that's not with you?
Yeah.
Physically.
And we have this last one, and we're just going to give like a really quick answer. But it's, hi Jazz, thanks for the great advice every week. You're welcome. Just wondering if you have any tips on how to balance study life and relationship life. Obviously, we all study, and I'm sure there's some fella, around that might have popped in and out of our lives. How do we balance that?
I feel with relationships, and bring it back to the long distance one, it's all about balance. Like, obviously everyone has different commitments, work commitments, uni commitments, all those sorts of things. But yeah, it is important to balance it. But just manage your time well. Yeah, that's the main thing. Like, know what you have on during the day and manage your time around it.
I reckon study dates can work. If
Yeah.
you can restrain yourself.
Study.
All that, everybody.
That's true. Well, speaking of education, I'm going to talk about something a bit educational today. You guys can sort of chat in if you want.
Love having you guys here.
We're welcome.
Look, guys, for some reason, 90% of what I've committed to memory are really strange facts. And I want to share a few of them just for fun. Honestly, I've read about 100 of these, and I don't think I'm ever going to be the same, because I got on like some weird tangent of going like 20 different websites and reading all these strange facts. But some of them are so out there that you just don't think them through. Like, you don't think they're real, and you have to fact check. But my first one, the average garden snail has over 14,000 teeth.
No.
They don't even have teeth, do they?
I imagine them being like toothless, like an
they're
like
arranged.
a slug like that.
If you look at the pic, they're arranged in
my
rows.
gosh.
They're arranged in rows on their tongue.
That's the
And-
scariest thing I've ever seen in my life.
And they can have 120 rows of 100 teeth, and some species may have more than 20,000 teeth.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I don't do
It's
bugs.
insane. When I found that out, it was very weird. But my next one is about paper. And Mythbusters have done this one, but apparently
So it's legit.
you can't fold paper more than 7 times. And Mythbusters busted it, but this is the average piece of paper. You can't fold it more than 7 times. They actually got a football field of paper and folded it 11 times.
How many people did
I
they
think
have
it was.
doing
They
that?
got it too.
Or did they do it machine?
They got it with machines.
Oh, fair enough.
But Jazz, if you want to try, the paper's here.
Okay. Does this count as one fold?
That's one fold. It's folded in half, so we can
And it
see
has
how
to
many.
be
I'm so
in
nervous.
folds, I'm guessing.
Imagine
I
I
think so.
bust it.
I think so. I was doing it in equal
Let's hope you
folds.
do, Jazz.
That's 2.
So while you do that,
3.
I'm going to talk about the next one. At any one time, 0.7 of the world's population is drunk, and I feel like this is highly applicable to university though, because
I can
maybe
relate to this one.
maybe the 0.7% is just all uni students.
Probably. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. You see how many assignments we have going on? I mean,
I
the
know.
only way
I
to
feel
deal
like
with that
sometimes
right
the
now.
only way is to deal with
The
it
only
is
way.
to just
No, we're
go
joking.
home, have a glass.
You did it.
We're
and that's-
joking.
You must be.
I don't know.
Joking. Does that count?
Well, yeah,
Good
I
job.
mean,
Good effort, Jazz.
I don't think I did it. It's not technically folded.
All
It's
right.
about to pop out.
I have one more one, and this is relating back to
Busted.
drinks, but it's kind of a gross one, so just hold on to your stomachs.
Okay.
1 pound of houseflies contains more protein than a pound of beef. And so this one's for you, gym junkies. Have your protein shakes with a side of fries instead of fries.
Oh, gosh.
I know you go gym a lot, yeah? You're a bit of a
Yeah,
gym
and now
junkie?
do I not have my protein shake? Like,
No, you have it
with a
flies.
fly?
Flies, would you do it?
No way.
I think
I feel
people
like you
actually
would.
do. I feel like people have tried it. They eat like crickets and all sorts of stuff.
Oh,
with
I've
it.
seen
the
the
crickets.
crickets.
I've seen the
joking?
crickets, definitely. But
Cricket?
flies, yeah. People, they're like dried out and they're crunchy, almost like
Yeah.
chips.
Well, we're going to leave our viewers with that. So unfortunately, that brings us to the end of
Tasteful.
our show. But we'll be announcing our giveaway for World's Sweetest Mum next week. And you can catch this on the big screen in the Agora on Monday at 9 a.m. or at upstart.net.au.
Thank you guys for joining us. You can tweet us live or check us on Instagram at The Morning Journ if you want to see what we've got next. Thanks, guys.